He's a total, absolute fraud. We got almost obscenely rich. We had money that we have never seen before. You had to walk out and you had nowhere to go, no one to go to. Where would I even turn?
Welcome back to The Ordinary Brave, the podcast that celebrates stories of faith, family, and community. I'm your host, Kelly Parkinson. And last week I was able to share my story, but today I'm going to turn our attention to someone whose bravery looks like service, showing up for others in their hardest moments. In Cookeville, there's a place called the Care Center. It's more than a building, it's a lifeline. They provide food, clothing, and support for people who are struggling. But just as important, they offer hope, dignity, and love. And today we get to talk with the man who helps lead that mission. Thank you so much for being here, David Dukes. I'm grateful for what you're doing in our community.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be here, especially your first broadcast. That's an honor.
Yes, you're my first guest, so I'm excited. So as I interview you, I will probably affectionately call you Mr. David, because that's normally what I call you when I pass you in the halls at church.
You can call me anything you want to call.
But tell me a little bit about just your life and what brought you to the Care Center.
I'm a retired cop. I served 39 years, a little over 39 years with the Cookeville Police Department. Since the time I can remember, little bitty kid, that's all I ever wanted to do. I was raised in church, Southern Baptist in Nashville. My parents were very, very loyal church members. Mm-hmm. We were there every Sunday night, Wednesday, And I came up to Cookeville to go to Tech. And had to work on weekends, and so I started getting excuses not to go to church. And I stayed out of church 30 years. And through some bad decisions, God got tired of my shenanigans and kind of slapped me down and got my attention. And I came to Stephen Street for the first time because I needed the church to fix my marriage. Mm. And I'll never forget, I was up in the balcony doing one of these, and Jimmy Arms nailed me to the pew. And I realized as I left, my marriage wasn't broken. I was. Mm. And that started me coming back to a Christ focus. One day at the church, I was talking to one of the men, and he invited me to come to the Care Center. He said, "I'd like for you to see what we do. Would you come sit with me while I counsel?" And by then I was a ranking officer, and I could take flex lunches, so I did. And I came in the Care Center, and I sat with him in counseling, because as I walked in the back door, and this is going to sound ugly, but it's who I was. Mm-hmm. It's who a lot of us are. We know the kind of person that comes in the Care Center, good for nothing, lazy, And it took that one visit. And I realized, watching these people talk and listening to their stories, that I could be sitting in that chair in 60 to 90 days. It could be me, and what humility it took to walk through that front door and say, I can't feed my kids, or I need.
Right, because it's really not just homeless people. It could be somebody who lost their job.
Absolutely. You would be amazed at we see a lot of widows who never worked outside. They never worked outside the home. They were housewives and moms and raised their family and did all that. And then when their husband passes, they get they get his Social Security. And that is generally enough to pay the bills, but they don't have food. Or the slightest little hiccup occurs and they're suddenly in a fix. And a lot of disabled that come in that got hurt at worked their entire life. And that disability made them where they can no longer be employed. Nobody will hire them, for starters. I call it the Scarlet D, because once you hurt your back, nobody's going to hire you, because you might, you'll sue us. And we watch very proud people in there having to ask for help, and it's very humbling for us too.
So that experience, this was before you had even retired.
Yes.
From the force. So that experience just really kind of opened your eyes to the type of people that are coming into the Care Center and the needs in our community.
it opened my eyes so deeply and wide that I started volunteering. I was taking one day a week and going over for lunch and spending 2 hours and volunteering as a counselor. And when I retired, I went ahead and extended that to all 3 days. And the director at the time had not had a vacation because there was not a number 2 to help. And I said, I'll be your assistant, for free. And so that way she actually took her first vacation for 2 weeks and went on a vacation. And I just fell in love with it. And when you understand that there is not us and them, and that sounds so simple, but people always look at it, it's us and them, whether it's race or what gender or whatever it is, poor, rich, it's just us. And we're all trying to get through this life. And we have something that can help. And they think, good, you got food and clothes. And we do. However, what we have is the gospel of Jesus Christ and the hope that provides them.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, is to say maybe I should back up and you explain the mission of the Care Center and maybe how it began.
We're a ministry. That is our absolute number one, no apologies mission, is we're a ministry of Jesus Christ. And our goal is to, and I'm being very cautious in my terms, but very specific, we offer the gospel of Jesus. I cannot find Jesus in that Bible chasing people down the street and arguing with them. So we don't. And if someone comes in our center and they we ask them about their spiritual life, and they say, I don't want to talk about that. Okay. And we won't say another word.
Yeah.
We don't argue with them. We offer it. And if they're receptive and they want to talk to us, then we'll talk to them. We had 85 people accept Christ last year in the Care Center.
That's amazing.
It is. It is. It was started in 1992 by Stephen Street alone. Very small, worried about, will we have enough food to even give to people? And it has now morphed into what it is today. And today it's still on the campus of Stephen Street, but we're supported by 6 churches. And I'm just extremely proud of that these churches have come together and are supporting our efforts.
That's one of the things I love about this community, is really the churches do work together a lot to support one another and each other's ministries. They do.
Well, we've had 5 Southern Baptists for a long, long time. And about 3 or 4 months ago, we have a non-denominational now. Central City has joined us, and they're
great.
all in. And we love having them aboard. The more, the better.
Well, in addition to offering the gospel to those that come in that are in need, what else does the Care Center provide?
We provide, now, number one, we're very flexible. And the day that I took over as director, I basically threw all the rules out because they were rules to be rules. And I hate those kind of things. We would give food to anybody, but all our other services were strictly Putnam County. I thought, as long as we have the money, why do this? So I've opened it up. We'll help you from Mars, if we can. But we do food and clothing. We do utility help. Those are our 3 primary services. Thank you. I just totally went.
That's okay.
Those are the 3 services we offer routinely. But then as director, I have a wiggle room, and we see certain needs, and God kind of nudges me and says, take care of that. I gave you enough money. And so we have helped other people in other ways a lot. In 2021, I'm not sure what happened to our finances, but we got almost obscenely rich at the Care Center. We had money that we have never seen before. And I prayed.
In 2021, you said?
2021.
I almost just wonder, we had the horrible tornado in 2020, and the Care Center did so much then to help.
I fully understand.
And it wasn't just the Care Center. I mean, our community flocked to the Care Center
and then
to
COVID.
help serve. Yes, and then COVID. And so I almost just wonder, how the Lord works. It's like when you pour and you pour and you pour, then He just blesses. And
this was all God. I hit my knees. And I know that sounds hokey, but I really did. And I prayed diligently show me. I know you don't want me to have this checkbook and go, I've got so much money. What do you want me to do with this for you? And he led me to a program that was taking people off the street, drug addicts, 99% of them, and detoxing them, rehabbing them, helping them get jobs, teaching them things, basic life skills. They had transitional housing provided. And at the end of that journey, they had a job, they kept a job, and now they're ready to launch. And they've got money to pay rent, but there's a gap. We need first month's rent, a deposit to match that, and they didn't have that. I thought, well, I do. And I put over 70 families
Wow.
in 1 year in a home that didn't have a home.
That is awesome.
Paying their
Praise
first
the
month's
Lord.
rent and deposit. I spent $100,000.
Wow. Praise the Lord. That's awesome.
And it looks like our success. I still have people come up to me and thank me. You remember back then? You put. We're still living there, and so that was a treat. And now we're back down to normal, and we just do our thing. But
Now, I've heard you speak before about the care center, but you've also talked to people about maybe like the difference of the people that come to the care center, but maybe some that stand on the side of the road and panhandle. Is there a difference?
yes, that is a very hard yes. Panhandlers. When you and I sit and talk about, and this is for consumption, and everything we're saying, we want somebody else to hear. And when we start talking about the homeless, 80% of the people that will watch and listen to this are thinking the guy on the corner with a sign. And I cannot emphasize enough, he is not homeless. He is a life choice. And we don't see him. He doesn't come in. They're frauds. They're making literally out of their mouths $200 to $700 a day.
Wow.
They're staying in motels down around the interstate. Their cars are parked over at Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's a total fraud, and they're using it for substance abuse every night and coming back and standing there with a work. There was a military guy, and I'm using air quotes around that, stood in front of Burger King. War wounded, military wounded, battle wounded is what he said. And I may or may not have had access to his DD-214. And he served 13 months. There was no war going on. He was dishonorably discharged, and he was in jail most of the time he was in. He's a total, absolute fraud. But the good hearts of Cookeville see this and think, I need to help them.
Right.
Give us money. Don't give them money. We'll help them if they want help. And they don't.
Well, there's been a lot of chatter I have seen on social media recently. This has actually been building over a year or two. I just feel like specifically in our community about trying to help the homeless, especially in the colder weather, or just the needs that we have in our community. And sometimes I read that social media and it feels very condescending towards churches and Christians.
Absolutely.
Like we are not doing enough, or we don't care. We're actually not doing anything. And it always breaks my heart because I know what, our church is doing and what we're doing our part and giving and supporting the care center, and then the actual volunteers that are working. It's not just our church, but other churches too. And other churches have programs just like the care center that are operating out of their buildings. And so I guess like for the community, I mean, what words would we offer of hope and encouragement that, where do we send them to make a difference in the lives? Like if they have a heart for the homeless people, where should they start?
We can always use volunteers at the care center. Most of the 6 churches don't even understand this. When you mention the care center, there's a little food pantry over there on Stevens Street property. As director, and I'm paid, I'm on staff at Stevens Street Church as the director. And so my little bitty salary comes from Stevens Street. I have to staff 70 positions a week for that place to run. 70. And they're all volunteers. Number one, I retired from the police department as a major. And so I had a lot of people that worked for me. And in that environment, a paramilitary environment, if I said, Officer Kelly go stand on your head in the parking lot, you'd salute
I
me and
was
say,
doing
yes,
it.
sir, and you go stand on your head. You don't supervise volunteers the same way. So I've had a learning curve, getting that. But these are people who honestly just care. And so, yes, we could use them. The rescue mission can always use volunteers. And despite any of its history, the director there is Will Roberts, and he is a Christian, very focused, Christ-focused man. And he's got two paths now to, one is a 21-day program to help people get on their feet. The other is a year program to help them get off of drugs and alcohol. And every bit of it is Christian, is Christ-centered. It's not AA where you just have a higher power. So they could volunteer down there and help them.
So to kind of maybe even piggyback off of this, is the rescue mission full? Is the care center full? Are we turning people away because we're so full? Because I just feel this sense of, like, when I read social media, like, there's a huge need and these people's needs are not being met. And so I'm just wondering, like, are there not enough services, or are some of these people not taking advantage of the services that we have in town?
A definite yes.
Yes.
For all the above.
Okay.
Are there people not taking advantage? Yes, absolutely. They're playing the system. And those are the ones I'm talking about. The guys with the signs, they're playing the system. Homeless, to me, and the federal government actually defines homelessness, and I'll probably get some of it or forget some of it, but if you're living in a tent, you're homeless. If you don't even have a tent, you're homeless. If you are couch surfing, if you're going from friend to family, and you wear out your welcome and you go to the next person and they let you stay for a night, you extend that into a week, and then they're homeless. They're also homeless if they're living in motels. And that is an absolute tar pit, that I don't have anywhere to go, I need a roof, I need a shower. And they get a motel room, and now, we can stay here by the week. You can pay a really nice house mortgage for what it costs to stay in the cheap hotel for a week or for a month. And now, because they're spending every penny they have, they're on a very fixed income with Social Security disability usually, and that's all they're getting. And that's usually $700 to $1,100 maybe a month. And now they can't get out because they need deposit, and so now they're stuck in this cycle. I read or I was told a statistic several years ago, 3 years, that in Putnam County alone, we had over 300 children in schools, in Putnam County education, that are homeless.
Wow.
Now, none of their parents are holding a sign. Their parents are struggling. They need help. Do we have enough programs out there? No, absolutely not. There are some huge speed bumps. Your average citizen drives by and their solution is get a job. It seems logical. Get a job, make money. Now you can do what you need to do. If you're living in a tent over behind Walmart or down on Gould Drive where they have a tent city, number one, how do I get to work at 7 o'clock every morning? We have public transportation. Yeah, but they're very set times. How do I get there clean? It's, how do I get there at all? I was buying bicycles, and at least they could get there soaking wet and cold. So there's a lot of transportation is huge. Shelter is huge. How do we do that? And right now we have no good solutions. The rescue mission is excellent at what it does, but it is in a building and it's only so big, and they can only house so many. And I don't know anybody in town right now that's paying for motel rooms. We all got worn out on that.
Yeah.
And so we've stopped putting Band-Aids on arterial spurting bleeds, and we're trying to do it other ways.
Well, you've been a part of a ministry that meets physical needs, food, clothing, shelter, but it's so clear that your heart is deeper than that. So what role does faith play in what you do every day at the Care Center?
That's it. I mean, faith is everything. The one thing and I'm going to lose you two. I hope there's an older audience watching, but there used to be a show called Fantasy Island, and the whole premise of the show was Ricardo Montalban was the whatever head guy at Fantasy Island, and he had the little short person that would go, the plane. Yes.
The plane.
Okay, that's the show. And the whole premise was that these people with way too much money, they could live out their fantasy, anything they wanted, by going to Fantasy Island, paying the money, and they would arrange for that to happen. And the odd thing was that everybody that showed up found out that what they really wanted, their fantasy, was just not what it was cut out to be. And they would learn something with their heart that would last the rest of their life. We're Fantasy Island. People come to us for food and clothing, and we show them there's something even more important than food and clothing. There's hope for eternity if you will have faith in Jesus Christ and realize that you're a sinner, and so we pray, we do a sermon that we offer, and you will step out, you don't have to hear it, and we tell them that I'm getting ready to talk about Jesus Christ, and if you don't want to hear it, you can step outside and I'll come get you, and we'll still love on you and give you food. While that's going on, all the staff that's working, we're in the back praying. And we have a prayer list, and we pray every single day for it. And at the end of when I say amen, 90% of the time I tell everybody smiles, which is what they said on Fantasy Island to all the staff, because I want them to see the joy of Christ in us. Mm-hmm. And the one thing I hear around town that makes me extremely proud, and I know pride is a sin, but this is a good pride, as I hear people saying, the care center's different. Mm. They treat me like a human being. They act like they care. And we do. We have counselors that are bawling their eyes out every day because it hurts.
And I've had some of your counselors call me and celebrate victories with some of the people that come into your building, and they really do care.
Oh, they do. And if I had a counselor, and she counseled her first time after she sat and went through it, and she counseled one or two people, and I happened to walk down the hall, and she was standing outside her door crying. I said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "I don't think I'm cut out for this." I said, "Okay." I said, "Why would you say that?" She said, "It hurts too bad." Mm. I said, "I wouldn't want you here if it didn't. I want people, we care, and we go home, and they have a lot of our phone numbers. They call us. Today is, what is today?
The 6th.
Thursday. I had a lady come in Wednesday, a young mom. She has 9 kids. And I saw her a month or so ago, and she came for $50 to help with her electric bill. And she owed $300 something, didn't know where she was going to get the $250, but she was so appreciative and had all her kids with her. And they were so well behaved, and just, you could tell they were just loving kids. And I paid her bill, the whole bill. And she came in yesterday and brought me thank you notes from her kids. That's why we do this. We care.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, y'all are definitely making an impact. So there's a kind of bravery that comes with serving others, and it's not loud or glamorous, but it's powerful. So can you tell us a time when maybe work at the care center got hard, but you had to keep going anyways?
We see a lot of things. We see a lot of what we see that and this applies to, really hits me harder as a retired cop. My job as a cop was, I rode up on my white horse and I saved you. And I rode away with knowing I had saved the day. And those few times, and they were very few, but they were there, that I rode away and I couldn't save you, or I couldn't make a difference, or I couldn't, it would kill me, because I became so focused on, I've got to make a difference, and when I couldn't, it would just destroy me. And the same thing applies to us at the care center. There are times when They come to us hopeless and helpless, and we just can't offer enough. And I tell my volunteers, can you imagine, and you probably can't, I can't, can you imagine coming in and we see this all the time. I'm hungry, I'm cold, okay, we can feed you, and we can give you a coat and a blanket and all that stuff, and I need a place to stay. We don't do that. You go to the rescue mission, but I can't. I've got a dog, and he's the only thing I've got. I lost everything but my dog, and I can't give him up. Because people say, well, get rid of the dog. Well, it's not that easy. Or I've got a physical disability, and they can't take disabilities down there. But there's a reason they can't go there. And he's just freshly homeless. So turn around with your food and walk out the door of the care center. Are you with me? The door shuts. Where are you going? You can turn left or right, or just go straight. And when you stop and think about that, where would I even turn if you had to walk out and you had nowhere to go and no one to go to? It breaks our hearts. It's just...
Well, I love your heart for those people, Mr. David, and you've seen firsthand how faith, family, and community can change lives. So how can people in Cookeville get involved or help carry this mission forward?
We are not the only game in town. If we don't happen to need a volunteer, somebody does. So there's a lot of different places in town that help not only with homelessness, but everything kind of homogenizes in the middle. The Cookeville Pregnancy Center is a big, big deal in this town, and they change so many lives for the better. The Foster Closet, they do things and help a lot of families that bring up kids the right way and take them out of the environments that they're in that are harmful. This is going to sound, everybody say, I knew he'd hit it. Money. I've had, especially with what's going on now with the SNAP program and all that, there's a lot of fear in our community. A lot of people are going to be affected that have never asked for help for anything, but they depend on those SNAP benefits to eat. And I'm getting calls from a lot of elderly women, and I just need to know where can I get food if I need it, because I've never had to ask. And I have a lot of people in churches and classes calling me saying, we'll collect food, what do you need? Money. You can go out and spend $20 and buy food and give to me, and we'll absolutely use it to help. You can hand me $20 and I'll buy 3 times more food through my supplier than you can buy. So it's one of those, if you really want to help, give me your dollar and allow me to spend it. And I buy my food through Second Harvest, so I'm paying pennies on the dollar for what you can buy. And that would help us more than anything. And the money that I don't spend on food, I'll help that lady with her $300 electric bill, or I've got wiggle room to do that. And that's where I'm so blessed. I have, since I took over in 2020, I've not had one of my now 6 pastors ever ask me why I did something. I feel like they trust me, and they trust that I'm a good steward of God's money. And so I feel very blessed that I have that relationship.
We're going to put this Venmo up on the screen for you to, we just ask that if you're listening to this podcast, that you'll just give to the Care Center and just support this mission that's going to help a lot of lives in our community, especially right now. I know you said that you've doubled how many people came and visited the Care Center yesterday, just because I think of all that's happening right now with the government shutdown and the needs in our community. So, and you can also just find them on Venmo at Care Center, and you can also give through Stephen Street. There's a giving option online if you'd rather give through the church, and there's a scroll down button there that you can also give to the Care Center. Well, I love what Mr. David said about we don't just offer these physical needs and we're, kind of like the fantasy island, but we are offering hope. And that's what bravery looks like, showing up again and again when no one's watching, Believing one small act of kindness can make a difference. When we talk about faith, family, and community, this is it in action. So thank you for being here.
Well, thank you. I'm honored to be here.
You were a great first guest.
We'll see about that.
Thank you for listening to The Ordinary Brave. If today's conversation inspired you, please take a moment to follow our podcast or share it with others. And if you would like to learn more about the Care Center, you can go to this website that's on the screen. Remember, you don't have to be extraordinary to be brave. You just simply have to care.